Julian Williams came in anywhere from 4-1 to 7-1 underdog. Wasn't really promoted during the lead up to the fight, and
don't steal my pen.
Pulled off an incredible upset, blew him out, won the decision. I know you have a lot of thoughts on this one, Teddy. What'd you see?
I saw, first of all, you said it right. We interviewed him, and it's going to be a tremendous listen for people out there to learn about him in a lot more ways than the kind of jab he throws, about his journey to get to where he got to and to become truly a champion in his own right, besides the fact that he got his hand risen on a certain night for beating somebody inside his, chamber of truth, the squared circle, but where he's taken himself as a person and what he represents as a person. I think it's a great thing for people to hear, and they're going to look forward to it. As far as what I saw with Hurd and Williams in the ring, well, when you get an upset, what was unusual, what was different for me is when you get an upset, he was 7-1 and dropped to 4-1, I believe, something like that. The perception going into this fight is not always what the reality is. What I mean by that, the perception was that sometimes you find out things. You discover things in the course of going through an experience. You learn something. And so going in, everyone said Hurd was just a bigger, stronger guy. And then when you were done, I wonder if he really was. Because when it was done, like, what is bigger? What is stronger? The perception was, bigger, stronger guy. Kind of like Foreman fighting Frazier. Mm-hmm. Bigger, stronger guy. That if you stand in front of him, he might do exactly what Foreman did to Frazier. Lift him up off the ground. Because he's bigger, he's stronger. Wasn't to be. And the thing that was so interesting was going into that kind of fight as a 7-1, later 4-1 underdog, whatever wound up being at fight time, and depending on where people got their bets down, I guess, the line could be different, that you would think that the smaller guy, he's got to be more agile, he's got to be smarter, he's got to be quicker, and most of the time when there's an upset like that, it would be done on the outside. Yeah, it would be done on the outside, where Williams, if he's going to win this fight, he's got to box on the outside. He's got to use his jab. He's got to use his quickness. He's got to use his intellect. He's got to be slicker. There's no margin for error. He's got to fight as close to a perfect fight as possible. But there's no doubt he's got to box. He can't go into the den with the lion. But who says he's a lion? Who made him the lion? Maybe the lion's missing a few teeth. And you don't know until you go in the den with the lion that, hey, you know what? There's more gums than teeth. Maybe. But the point I'm making is usually, conventionally speaking, the standard to this kind of, the blueprint to this kind of fight, with everything I described, the bigger, stronger perception, the guy being a big favorite, undefeated world champion against a guy in Williams who has one loss, he got knocked out in that loss, that he's going to have to outbox him on the outside. But who says you can't outbox a guy on the inside? And to me, the thing that was fascinating was he didn't play around. He went right into the furnace, right into the lion's den, and he beat him at his own game. He went inside, he backed him up, he outfought him on the inside, outlanded him, and he knew what he was doing. A lot of people early on were questioning it. You could hear the commentators.
Oh, for sure.
They were like, if he keeps fighting this fight, basically he's going to lose. You can't fight this fight.
Yeah.
Well, who says you can't? He knew that he could. He knew, and he was doing subtle things like turning him, moving off to the side. See, when you walk around somebody, even though it's subtle and you might not notice it all the time, or maybe somebody might not point it out and you don't notice it, is when you step off around the guy, you're keeping the bigger, stronger guy from using that bigger strength, because you're moving to the side. He can't quite get off. He probably doesn't even know until the night's over that I didn't feel right. I couldn't get off. Yeah, because the guy was walking around you where he was turning you and making you move your feet instead of being set so you couldn't punch.
Yeah.
So that's why you couldn't get off. And so little subtle smart things, the sweet science. it doesn't have to always be on the peripheral. It doesn't always have to be on the outside for it to show itself to be effective. That was brilliant boxing.
Now that you mention that, to someone who might not have seen the fight or is going to go back and watch it, watch for that, because that's exactly what he did a few times, and it looked beautiful. He'd hit him with a bunch of a big flurry, and he'd step right around, and all of a sudden he's on a different angle, and Hurd couldn't even answer back.
But he wasn't only ready for the physical fight, the technical fight. He was ready for the mental fight. See, his training him, they deserve all the credit in the world. He went in there and he discouraged them. He fought, in a way, he fought fire with fire. But his fire was smarter. He had an asbestos suit on.
Yep.
Well, he wasn't getting burnt because he was making a miss on the inside. It's just as effective as making a miss on the outside.
Yeah.
It's just that people don't quite understand that. They think that the only way you beat a bigger guy is you got to go outside and you got to out flash them, you got to outsmart them, you got to out hustle them, you got to outmaneuver them. Well, you could do that on the inside too. Mm-hmm. And that's what was interesting. It was so different than the normal upset. The normal upset would be the guy outboxing him on the outside of everything we just described going into this fight. He just outfought him inside. And he was ready for the mental part of the fight. Not just the physical, technical part, but the mental. What do I mean by that? He was going to discourage him. And if you watch through the fight, he deteriorated Hurd mentally, if you know what you're watching for. He deteriorated him. He broke him down a little bit. He was less, not only active, but less sure of himself later in the fight than he was earlier, Hurd.
Yeah, you're right.
You know? And he took away what he thought was his advantage. Hurd thought, if you fight with me, I'm going to beat you because you're going to stand in front of him.
He told him that at the press conference.
And he took that away from him.
Yeah.
And he discouraged him. So he not only was ready to beat him physically and technically, he was ready to beat him emotionally and mentally.
Yeah.
And he set that plan forth. Mm-hmm. He put that plan in action. And he did it, and you watched it. It was a beautiful thing to watch if you know what the heck you're watching. The only thing that I was a little, I hate to knock guys, but a little bothered by, I don't know if you guys were too, but like sometimes when the commentators, like during the fight, it was a good fight.
It was an excellent fight.
But they're going, oh! And then two seconds like, oh! And then two, oh! I mean, you know what? If I'm watching it in a bar with a fan, maybe with you, after a couple O's, I say, hey, that's enough O's. Let's go A. You know what I mean? Let's just change the syllable a little bit. You know, a little bit. But I don't want to hear that from a professional commentator. I'm just saying, the guys are good. Don't get me wrong. But it would be kind of like watching Steph Curry every time he hits a three. Oh, by the commentator. Guess what? You're not going to hear that. You know why? Because Steph's doing what he does. Yeah. Basketball players hit threes. So during the course of the game, you can't go, oh, every time he hits a three because that's commonplace. That's what it's supposed to. Now, if he wins the game as the clock goes on, oh, you can do that. Right? Yeah. If a guy scores a knockdown, oh, you could do that. But if it's happening in a regular way, during the course of the fight, during the course of the round, it would be like in baseball. Every time a guy gets a base hit, oh, no, it's part of the game. It's what he does regular. But if he hits a base hit, a game-winning, a walk-off base hit, oh, yeah, it works. I can tolerate it. But it's difficult to hear that during the course of round after round after round, when it's just another punch it's supposed to be part of what they do.
Yeah.
It's not at that level, that drama. It's not at that dramatic level of ending a fight.
Right.
So that was a little bit, so, you know, if you ever commentate on a fight with me, don't go, during the course of the round so much. You know, wait till the end of the round if the guy lands a punch and drops the guy, then you could say, oh. But that's just one of the things. I'm just curious if you guys kind of were touched by that a little bit too. Just curious. And we like to listen, I hate to keep saying it, we tell the truth, but we're going to say what we see.
Yeah.
And put it out there where normally it probably wouldn't be put out there, to be quite frank. But the real tagline to this story is that a beautiful kid, and I think he's a great kid. I really do, especially getting to know him with the interview and everything and his backstory. Julian Williams, he came he got off the floor, after only, 5 fights ago, he was knocked out. He gets off the floor. He is really what boxing is all about.
Yeah.
What a champion is all about is that you get off the floor when you get knocked down. And in this case, he got knocked out in a fight. And you come back and you still achieve your goals. You get there. Like I've said many times, no matter what life has done to you, on one given night, if you can put it all behind you, baby.
Yep.
You can put it all behind you. You can get in that ring and you say, tonight I'm ready. I've worked. I've dedicated myself. I've disciplined myself. I've sacrificed myself. I've done everything I need to do. And I've made up my mind. Before I leave that ring tonight, when 36 minutes is over, I am going to make everything right. I am going to correct anything that went wrong in the past. I am going to make up for everything that I thought happened to me that I wish didn't happen to me. I'm going to make everything that did happen to me show why it happened to me. I'm going to use everything that happened to me to win tonight, to be world champion tonight, to have my hand raised tonight. No excuses, only reasons. And he did it. And to me, that's what makes this sport great. Kids like Julian Williams, kids like Tony Harrison, who's also in that weight class and also owns a title in that weight class. That's why I love this sport.
Yeah.
And I think you guys are going to really, when you hear the interview, you guys are you're going to feel the same way.
I agree. It's an incredible story and an incredible person. Just a really nice guy, very insightful in spite of all the trials and tribulations he's been through. I think people are going to find it quite entertaining and motivational.
I love the way he dropped in the second round. It was second round, right?
Second round, yep.
He dropped him with the left hook. You know what that was reminiscent a little bit, was when Tyson dropped Burbick, hitting him on the temple. Of course we didn't have him flopping from left to right, trying to get up. Yeah. We didn't have that effect.
Right.
But it reminded me a little that everyone thinks you got to hit him on the chin to affect a guy.
Yeah.
But you hit him on the temple, boy, oh boy, you can affect, and bang. That kind of paved the way for the rest of the night.
Yeah, that was awesome. The fight itself was awesome. The result, the post-fight interview, the raw emotions. I mean, he was crying, and it was just like you said. It was everything that's good about boxing, highlighting the fact that you don't have to win every round to win a fight, or you don't have to win every fight to be considered a world champion or a Hall of Fame champion. You just got to keep plugging away and keep doing the right thing, and that guy does all the right things.
You know who didn't do the right thing? Again, we put it out there. I'm not looking to attack anybody, but I'm looking to put out things that normally maybe get passed over. Mm-hmm. And the cut man for Hurd didn't do a great job because there was one round, no excuse, that it didn't change the fight, but it could have changed the course of the fight, where there was a round there. Because for me, you got to do your job.
Yeah.
I'll say it again. You got to do your job. This is a really, really important business. This is a really dangerous business. You got to do your job, because otherwise, you don't do your job, somebody's career and maybe life is on the line.
Yeah.
And the cut man, he left a glob of Vaseline and it got in the eye of Hurd, and Hurd spent a round?
Yep.
Almost a round.
Yep.
It
was in his eye, couldn't see.
Trying to get out his eye.
Yep.
And then the next round, when he got it all clear and he goes out, it was a glob there again. Yeah. But the fight, if you watch, because no one maybe pointed out, but if you watch, you'll see the fighter took things in his own hands. See, he shouldn't have to do that. The fighter should only have to deal with the guy. Everyone else should do their job.
Yeah.
It's a tough business to begin with. Mm-hmm. Now you got to do other jobs. So he took it in his own hand, where he actually wiped the Vaseline off because he knew the same thing would happen.
Yeah.
The fighter rectified it. The fighter corrected it.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was, maybe those were little omens that this wasn't going to be his night.
Yeah.
But really, the only omen you needed was not an omen. It was a solid effort and a solid, decisive mindset of Mr. Julian Williams going into that fight, knowing Not only what he was going to do, how he was going to do it.
Yeah.
Him and his trainer, they chose, well, we're not going to outbox him on the outside. We're going to outbox him on the inside, baby.
Yeah.
Right where people think we shouldn't be. Because we know we can do it that way.
Yeah.
And we know why we want to do it that way.
Yeah, the people are going to love this interview, so stay tuned for that one. We covered a lot of territory with that. I think we had him in here for almost 2 hours, and we could have had him for 4. It was awesome.
With broken glass in my head.